Okay, Kenny, today we're going to learn about fraction and fraction equivalence. Equivalence just means different numbers, but it means the same thing. And fractions using a diagram. Okay, do you know what a diagram is?
A diagram is basically like a scale using pictures.
Yeah. Yep, very close. A diagram is a picture of numbers here. Okay? So, we are going to learn about finding other fractions. Okay, so let's look at our workbook here. We have, let's start with the 1/2. Okay, continue the pattern for 1/2. Do you see a pattern here? They give you the first three. 1/2 to, what is that?
To 5 to 6.
No, 5/10.
Oh, 5/10 and 6/12.
Right. You have to read them together as a fraction. Okay? So do you see the pattern in the numbers?
Yeah. But basically after 1, 5 and 6 are on top. You know, you're basically counting, except you skip the 3.
Okay. Well, let's look at a pattern here. We have 5/10 and 6/12, so that's 5 and that's 6. But we started with the 1, so we're missing some numbers in here, right? So how do you think they got this 5 and this 6? 5/10 and 6/12.
Because they were basically counting from 1/2 to the other halves, like 1/2, 2/4, 3/6, and so on.
Okay, that's a theory. Let's test that. Okay, so by your theory, 1/2 should equal, what's the next number?
After 1/2 would be 2/4.
2/4, okay? Let's test that theory. How are we going to do that? We have to make the top and bottom, we have to increase it by the same number, okay? So what we're going to do is, we're starting with 1/2 here, right?
Okay.
Now we're going to multiply 1/2 to make something, okay? So we have to multiply the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator, by the same number, okay?
Okay.
So let's multiply 1/2 by 2. What do you get?
You get 2 and 1/2.
No. 1 times 2.
Oh, that would be 2. 2 times 2 is 4.
Write it right here.
So that would be 2/4.
Okay, there you go. Now, if we multiply by 3, what do we get?
You'd get 3
Over here.
6. Oh.
Okay. 3/6. If we multiply by 4, what do we get?
You would get 4/8.
Right. Because 1 times 4 is?
1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8.
There you go. So, if we look at this over here, do you think that our pattern fits? 1 times 2. 1 times 2 will give us 2/4. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then if we move to 3, 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6.
Mm-hmm.
If we move to 4, 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. What if we go to 5? What do we get?
5/10.
Does that match up with what they have here, or what they gave us?
Mm-hmm.
5/10. Good job. So you noticed a pattern. Okay, so using our pattern here, what's our next one going to be?
7/14.
Because 1 times what number?
1 times 7 and 2 times 7.
is 14. Good job. Okay, what's our next one?
It'll be 8/16. And then that would be 9/18, 10/20, and 11/22.
Okay. Now, why is that important? Why do we have to know all of these? Why do you think we have to know all of these?
So that we learn how to use the equivalents.
Why?
And we usually use the equivalents in like adding fractions.
What can we use fractions for?
You can usually use fractions for anything you could say, as
Well,
long as
around
it
the
can
house.
cut.
What about a pizza?
Yeah, you can use that.
When we cut a pizza, that's fractions, right? Kind of looks like this, right? And what if we're cooking? What if we're cooking, okay? And the recipe calls for 1/2 of a cup. But you don't have 1/2 of a cup. You only have 1/8 of a cup because we lost all of our measuring spoons.
Like we already did.
We lost all of our measuring cups. Okay, so how can we use this to figure out 1/2 of a cup? All we have is 1/8. That's the only spoon the only measuring cup we can find is 1/8. So how many of these do we need to make 1/2?
We need 4 of these.
We need 4 of those to make 1/8.
4 of these to make 1/2 cup.
To make a half. Okay. Let's see. Let's test that. We have 1. Well, we're not going to use that because remember we don't have a 1/2 cup.
Oh, yeah.
2. Okay, count it out.
3 and 4.
Okay. Let's see.
1/2 a cup.
1/2 a cup. There you go. See, so you have to know how many. Okay, that's 1. Okay, now let's look at this one. We have 1/2. Okay, so can you color in 1/2 of this for me?
Squiggly line.
Squiggly line. Okay, can we color in a little bit more? Good job. Okay. Now, remember we also said over here that it's 4/8. Remember? We had, where's your measuring cup? Oh, here. This is 1/8, right? And we had how many of these to
4.
equal 1 cup? 4. 4/8. Okay. So now that we have colored in 1/2 of this, right? So if that's 1/2, what if you color in 4 of these?
That would still be a 1/2.
Is that the same thing? It's still 1/2, right?
Because it's 4 of the 8, and it's still a 1/2.
There you go. So that's why we need to know fraction equivalents, and sometimes a table can help you understand. Okay?
Okay.
Good job, Kenny.